Hey guys, it's Ashley. In today's video, I'm doing a Q&A. So I used to blog for many years. I started my blog whenever I was first married, and that was when like blogging culture was huge. You know, like everyone had a mommy blog, everyone was starting that, and it was really fun. I really enjoyed it, and part of that in that process, I would occasionally do Q&A posts, which other bloggers would do too. And I always seem to get a lot of response from those. I think because people are just like curious about particular things, and getting to ask that and answer those things, it's fun. So I put it out there on my Facebook and Instagram for questions for a Q&A video, and I got a lot of questions, y'all. I was kind of surprised. And a disclaimer, I got a lot of questions about homeschool, and I'm doing a completely like separate series on that because those answers are just so much longer and like kind of like not complex, but you know what I mean, like there's just more to say. So anything homeschool related, I'm going to do a separate homeschool video. I thought about doing a separate Disney one. I'm just going to see how the time goes. I may film a separate Disney one, or I may include them here. So we'll just jump right in. Why did you quit selling LuLaRoe, and do you miss it? For those that don't know, I sold LuLaRoe clothing for about a year. And it's been about a year since I stopped selling. I loved LuLaRoe clothing. I really loved the product when I first started selling, and the response was really overwhelming in a good way. I did really well with it. And really what it boiled down to was just lifestyle and time. It just started to take away too much time from my family, and I hated it. I started getting to the point where I really dreaded leaving my family to go and do, you know, a pop-up or whatever. And it just wasn't worth it to me anymore. And you know, you kind of reach a point where you know something has run its course, and that's what it was for me. It just had run its course. And once I got out, I just felt so much more peaceful, and my time was mine again. I miss all the women I met, and that was something that was unexpected for me. I did not expect how much I would love. I'm an introverted person in the sense that I am not like super energized by crowds of people and talking to people a ton, but it was good for me in that way. And I miss all the amazing women that I came in contact with. I met some really cool women, and it was just a lot of fun. So I do miss aspects of it, but I'm glad I stopped. Handles the finances and bill paying in your house. How did y'all decide who would do that? Kurt does all of that. He handles all the finances in our family, and that's just how it's always been. And he's a numbers guy. That's how his mind works. He is very interested in, you know, investing and the best, or, you know, not even that, just like the best way to allot our money, spend our money, save our money. And so that's just something that he enjoys doing. And so he's just always done it. I'm not a numbers girl, never have been. So I handle other aspects of our home, but he handles all the finances. Do you follow a certain method like Dave Ramsey for budgeting, or do you have a budget? We do have a budget, and we like the Dave Ramsey principles. We do not use like a cash or envelope system, but we do the snowball, the debt snowball. We're about to finish up paying off my student loans, and then Kurt still has his medical school loans, but he got a really good rate on those. So we're about to snowball into paying off his, and one of our cars is paid off. So we're just kind of, we're doing the debt snowball, so to speak, but not all of the tenets of Dave Ramsey. Any advice for budgeting and travel? My biggest advice for that is research. Like that's how you find the best deals. That's how you kind of get a baseline for how much things cost, and you can know like when you're getting a good deal, if that makes sense. So like I will constantly be researching rates on, you know, airfare and hotels and things like that. And it's just fun for me. Like researching like for travel is a hobby for me. I love it. And so it's just educating yourself. The more you learn about a certain like vacation destination or whatever airline, the better decisions you can make. And you know, as far as like saving money with travel, that's your first line of defense is just like knowing what's up, you know what I mean? And you can make better decisions. As far as budgeting goes, it's just really, it's planning. It just boils down to planning and mapping out, okay, here's when we want to take a trip, or, you know, we're going to save money until we are able to take this trip, and just doing all that you can to set aside money. And maybe it means you are, you know, consigning a bunch of your clothes. Maybe you're doing a big, you know, purge of your items and you sell them. Maybe you're getting a part-time job. I mean, you kind of, I mean, I know that time is limited and, you know, your time is precious, but if something's like really, really, really important, it's just sitting down and really looking at your numbers and saying, how can we make this happen? How can we make it work? And just doing everything you can. Every little bit adds up, you know, that you're putting into that, you know, dream fund. It all adds up. And so that's, I don't think that's very helpful, but it's just, it's educating yourself and knowing how much something is going to cost you in a roundabout way, and then just going from there and breaking it down and saying, okay, what do we need to save? You know, how can we cut what we're spending? Do you do a monthly allowance? Do you do an allowance for the kids? Yes, there's a set amount that we've talked about that is in a range that we feel comfortable with for me to spend in a given month. And you know, he's handling other things too. It's just kind of all together. I mean, it's not like he's like, here's your money, honey. You know, it's like, it's not like that. But it's just kind of like in the back of my head, I have an idea of, you know, here's the range. And that covers like everything. That's like all the kids' needs. That's, I mean, everything that I'm responsible for is in that amount. So yes, there is an amount that we've discussed that we're comfortable with as far as spending. And then with the kids, we do not give an arbitrary allowance. We just don't hand them money. We have started a system, and someone asked about chores down the line, but I don't do it actually as much as I should, as far as like really hammering home. They're responsible for cleaning their rooms and all of that. It's a balance there, because I think being part of a family, somewhat that's just your responsibility. I mean, that's just part of being responsible, is keeping up with things and helping around the house. But what we'll do is like, we'll say you can earn, you know, X amount of money if you, per laundry basket that you fold and sort. So we'll kind of give just task-based payment. And it's a good incentive. And really, Liam and Evie are at the ages, like they're the only ones that are just kind of grasping the concept of money and how much things cost, and, you know, the benefit of saving money. So it's kind of age-based, maturity-based, and that's just how we've done it. What's your cleaning schedule? Have the kids started doing chores, and if so, at what age? Next question. I kind of talked about this in my stay-at-home mom tag. I do not have a set cleaning schedule. Every Monday we have a Tuesday. Every Tuesday we have a sweet lady who comes and helps clean around the house, and she's become like a member of the family. She's amazing, awesome at what she does, and she does, you know, the baseline cleaning, like floors, just surfaces, dusting, things like that. And then what we do throughout the week is maintenance for that. So it's really just as I see things needing to be done, I'll do it. I don't do anything really stringent. I don't have a set schedule at all. Okay, Luke woke up, so I'm keeping an eye on him. If you hear anything, that's what he's doing, his little play mat. So I'm gonna try to get some of these done while he's doing his little kick in time. How do you save up for Disney trips? Well, it's happened different ways at different points, you know, in our marriage and in our family. One of the trips I actually paid for myself through LuLaRoe. My LuLaRoe payment was such that I was able to take my family to Disney World, and that was a great feeling. It was awesome. Other times, you know, we've just really, like I said earlier, said, you know, we go about every year, and so that's something that it's just a place we keep coming back to. And there's a video I'll be posting, if I haven't already, about why we keep going back to Disney World, and our family just loves it. It's a place that we really enjoy going, and so I think, you know, we just, that's part of our budget. Like, that's just part of what we plan into our expenses, and then we adjust accordingly in our other spending areas so that we can set aside money for Disney. And basically now, you know, and I'm gonna say this in the video too, we kind of know, you know, what to expect financially when it comes to that trip. And so we're able to, you know, put aside what we need. And that really, it's just planning, and it's again, researching and knowing how much that you need. As far as doing Disney more inexpensively, there are ways to do that, y'all. There are ways to, you know, to make it not this like blowout vacation. You know, there's different websites, mousesavers.com. You know, I've used that before for coupon codes and deals, and you can stay off property. Sometimes you have to price it out. Sometimes it's cheaper to stay on property. Sometimes it's cheaper to stay in a hotel that's nearby. That's not necessarily a Disney hotel, but you have to price those things out. And that's where the research comes in. You know, like you have to do your work, do the legwork, you know, to figure it out. There's a website or a blog called Couponing to Disney. I've heard people use that before for ideas of how to save money. There's times when Disney will offer free dining. Like that's huge. Now granted, it's at times when you might trade off, like it might be like not as great weather or higher crowds, but you'd have free dining. You know what I mean? So if that works with your schedule and you can kind of land on that deal, Disney will release dates periodically that they'll do free dining. I think those dates are out now, so you can look into that and see if there's availability. But things like that, I mean, you don't have to think of, you know, Disney and even travel in general as far as like huge blowout as far as your budget. And like I said, just a little bit goes a long way. You know, putting aside a little bit, it adds up. Cutting out, you know, a certain little habit that you have maybe with spending. And I'll be honest, like even like if you really want to make those memories with your family and travel, cancel your cable, you know, cancel your Netflix for a little bit. And I mean, I know that sounds extreme, but it's just making choices, and it's looking at your, you know, your monthly expenses and what's going out and what's coming in, and just making adjustments with that. What are your go-to places for clothes shopping for you and the kids? My go-to place, I would say, gosh, I mean, for a while, you know, I was wearing LuLaRoe almost full time just because I was able to get it wholesale, and it was great advertisement for my business. And so I was wearing LuLaRoe a lot. And after I sold it for so long and was like totally immersed in it, I was like, I can't wear it. And now I can't wear it anymore for a while. I still have some leggings and like the occasional Carly dress, but you know, you kind of just shift into different phases, I think. Right now, I am obsessed with house dresses, particularly Dwell and Slumber, and I'm obsessed with them. I'm obsessed with their house dress, and that's what I've been wearing in like every video you've seen for the past couple of months. But I've landed on that as far as just like day wear around the house because it feels pretty and I feel done, but I'm able to nurse easily in it, and it's comfortable, and it's cute. I feel like I'm, you know, dressed, but I'm still super, super comfortable. So as far as like day to day, that's what I'm wearing. I'm wearing a lot of house dresses. And then as far as nicer things, I'm actually about to, postpartum is not the best time to like do a huge closet purge because your body is just constantly changing. But my plan is I've been really trying to weed out things that are not true to what I feel like my style is. And there's another question down the line, I think, about personal style. But if I were to choose like my favorite place, I would probably say like Anthropologie. I love Anthropologie, just that style. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. But I'm trying to be more purposeful in how I shop and not just buying to buy and not buying cheap things that won't last. Nothing that's like super, super trendy, but I still try to be true to my style. But that, as far as like a place that I think, you know, kind of would show my style, is Anthropologie. As far as the kids go, I love to do all their play clothes. What I do is I buy most of like the bulk of their clothing for any given season is just like inexpensive Old Navy or Target, because they're playing. They're around the house. We're playing, you know, they just need to be comfortable and they need to be able to get their clothes dirty and not worried about it. So that's the bulk of the shopping that I do, is once per season. I just get them really, really inexpensive clothes from Old Navy and Target. And then I'll pick a few nicer things that they can wear out to restaurants or to church. You know, I lived in the deep South for about 10 years, and that rubbed off on me. And I've always loved traditional children's style. I think it's just sweet. They're only a child once, and I think that it's just a sweet way to dress your kids. But you know, the smock dresses and all that can be more expensive. So whenever my kids were in more smocking when they were littler, I would do a ton of eBay shopping, consignment shopping. I did a lot of like buy sell trade groups on Facebook, and that was a great way because kids just go through things so quick and they grow out of things. So if you can get it secondhand and it's good, you know, it's in good condition, I think that's totally the way to go. As far as places that are just kind of like great for if you just need to go and buy something right away, Shrimp and Grits Kids is great. I love Shrimp and Grits Kids. They only go up to size 8. And that's kind of actually where I found the shift to be with Evie, my oldest. She's 9, and she's not wearing smock dresses anymore. She's not doing the little girl look anymore. And I thought I'd be super sad when that happened, but it's okay. You know, like she's growing and she's changing, you know, her style, and there's been no pushback from her about that. That's been me just kind of intuitively reading the situation and being like, you know, it's just time. It's just time for her to shift into something different. So right now my go-tos are Hannah Anderson and Minnie Bowden. And I love that style. It's still very classic kid style, holds up great, both of those. And I feel like they still look like kids. They still look age appropriate. Not a lot of logos or crazy stuff, but just cute clothes that I think are just kind of in that kind of middle zone that can be hard to dress, you know? And so Lindley, then by default, she's 5. You know, normally I would still have her in all these smocked dresses, but I just find it easier for her to match Evie. And so I will just do like the girls in something matching. They love to match still. And then for Liam, I will just get him like solid color polo shirts from either Land's End. If I can catch a good deal, which is rare with polo, I can get a few there. But mostly just solid Land's End polo shirts. And then he does just a nicer, I say nicer, they're from Old Navy. His jeans are from Old Navy, but I'll do a couple pair that we reserve for church and then play pants. So he has like 2 different things there. But for church, you know, I just pick the girls out their matching dresses, and then I go to Liam's closet and pick out the coordinating color of his polo, and it's done. So that's my go-to for them. Where are your go-to places for home interiors and furniture? That changes so often. My favorite, like off the cuff, just my favorite places to kind of browse. I love Ballard Designs. My sofas actually came from there. They are slip covered in an indoor-outdoor fabric. So it's great for kids. I can toss them in the wash and they come out great, and then I just put them back on my sofas. So for this season, that's great. I shop estate sales a lot. A family friend of ours has an estate sale business, and so I will often see pieces and that I know I can recover or reupholster, and I just look for good quality wood, or you know, how it's built, and I look for the shape. You know, do I like the shape? Because you can always change fabric and upholstery. That's been kind of my go-tos in recent. Yeah, Pottery Barn, some like for a little bit of bedding here and there, but I really do I mean, I love to browse Ballard. Where else? That's really it. Like I'm thinking about like my house, like what's in my house. I've just kind of collected things over the years. So yeah, that's kind of my go-to. Lukey sneezed. Bless you. Talk to us about your plans for the designer coming in the winter, the interior designer. I mentioned a while back that we've decided to work with an interior designer on this home, and that was a big decision for me. I studied interior design, and so I think part of it is like the frustration that like I should be able to do this for myself, but I don't know, when it's your own home, it's just kind of, I'm overwhelmed, y'all. I just am. And like there's nothing I want to change in the house as far as like tearing down walls. I don't want to change the layout or anything. I love that. It's just cosmetic. And I think the scope of it though, because there's a lot going on, there's just a lot of different textures, colors, patterns, materials that are going on, and I want to do it right. And I think actually it will end up saving me money to just do it right the first time, you know, rather than like experimenting with what I want to do, you know, and changing things over and over. I want to wait and do it right. And I found this designer, and she's based actually in Texas. And I really did try to research ones that were closer to us in the surrounding areas. I just landed on her because every picture that she posted, I was like, that is it. That I love that. And she blends, she's a very traditionally minded designer. She was trained in London. Okay, didn't even know that when I talked, before I talked to her, but I was like, well, that says it all. I mean, so very traditional, classic design, but beautiful fabrics, mixing patterns. I love that. But then she'll, you know, she'll mix in like modern clean line pieces, or like an acrylic, a clear acrylic coffee table, you know, things that are a little different and that branch you out. And I love that blend, and that's where I've landed. I've landed on definitely leaning towards traditional, but I love to mix in, I love mid-century. I love that look. And this house was built in 71, and so it's not truly like mid-century, but I want to pay kind of tribute, you know, to the fact that it is an older home and it was built with certain kinds of furniture in mind. I don't know if that makes sense. So she's gonna help me just create a plan, and we're gonna go with that. The way that we're doing it, we've actually kind of pushed back the time when she's gonna start working with us, because we've had some unexpected unexpected is what I would say, unexpected expenses in, you know, when we sold our other home and moved here. There were some repairs that we had to do to sell the home, and so that was definitely, that took part of our budget for sure. So our plan is to save up and not do anything until we have the cash in hand to do that. And so that way I'm able to say, okay, here's our budget for this space. Here's our budget for this space. And I think that'll just help, you know, keep everything on the same page, and we know exactly kind of what we're spending as we spend it. And it just keeps us in check as far as not spending beyond what we can afford. And so we're waiting to get kind of a good little nest egg there to be able to make some of those changes. So I'm super, super excited to work with her. I'm a little nervous, you know, because it's just like, you just never know. I don't know. To me, it's just kind of nerve-wracking, like trusting someone and like, what if I don't like what she's doing? But that's why I knew that she was the right one, because I was not afraid. And whenever I talked to her on the phone, she was so warm. She's around my age. She's not much older than me. And I just sensed that it would be a good relationship. She's very, you know, on top of things, very organized, and a straight shooter, but I think that she has a great sense of style that really lines up with what we want. And Kurt is in total agreement. He actually looked at her photos as well, and of her work and her portfolio, and he loved it. He was like, this seems like you, this looks great, you know. So we're really excited. It's just going to be kind of jumping into the unknown, but we should start that pretty soon. How do you keep your teeth so white? I actually have veneers. I had to get my teeth fixed. I have my front top 6 teeth done. One of my best friends in the world is my dentist, and she started her practice here, and I started going to her. And due to, I actually had an issue with my gums that was really, really bad. And it was causing a ton of problems. My teeth were constantly shifting even after braces and all that. And because of that, and like other attempts at fixing the gaps in my teeth, and so much I'm not talking about, but it ended up being like a medical condition to the point that insurance covered a lot of my dental work for this. So it was just a solution to a problem that would have gotten worse and worse. And I mean, cosmetically, I love it. I'm like this, I mean, I love my smile. I love my teeth. And they weren't like horrible. Like if you looked at me before, you wouldn't have really been like, ooh, she's got bad teeth. But it was more of like fixing an issue that was going to get worse. And so that's what we did. What plans do you have for your new house? Yeah, I kind of touched on this with the interior designer question, but mainly just cosmetic changes. I love the footprint of the house. I love the style, you know, the bones of the house. It's just cosmetic. It's just changes in, you know, taking down the wallpaper. And right now, until we get started with a designer, I'm just doing things that I know for 100% fact I want to change. Like taking down the wallpaper. I've been doing all that myself. We're gonna have like the trim all painted a brighter white instead of the kind of the almond color it is now. Just things that I know for sure I would want to do. So we're kind of getting a head start in that department, but I'm kind of waiting on her for the big decor changes, and that's good because it gives me time to just figure out really what I want to do. So in the meantime, we're just doing, if I look really weird, I'm bouncing him on my knee. So that, yeah, I just noticed I'm like, but yeah, it's just really like some cosmetic changes, and I'm excited to see what her game plan is, but more to be revealed. Have you and Kurt ever considered or talked about being a Disney Vacation Club member? Any thoughts, good or bad? Oh girl, like every day we talk about this. Yes, we've talked about it. Kurt has crunched numbers. Up to this point, it has not made financial sense for us. Because what we've been doing is renting DVC points. So you basically, like, if you can snag it, if you can land it, a rental, then you're getting the benefits and the perks of like staying in a DVC property without the buy-in. So we just rent points privately from a DVC member and do that. Now, the benefits obviously of being a member yourself is that you have control over booking, you know, other perks as well. But we're kind of always discussing it and looking into it and reassessing. So we do have friends that are members, and they've said, y'all should do it, y'all should do it. And I can see it being a benefit in certain situations, but right now it hasn't made financial sense for us. It's a big buy-in. It's like a really expensive buy-in. And then you're still having the travel expenses. You know, I'm like, I feel like I would need to go more than once a year to kind of make it feel like it's worth it. But I know that isn't the case truly, but all that to say, we're constantly kind of discussing it, and we'll see what happens. Do you think you'll ever blog again? Quick answer, no. I think it was a great culture blogging whenever I started back in, you know, what, 2007. It was a great, it was a neat culture. You know, moms were blogging and starting blogs and meeting each other, networking, and it was just fun. It was a fun time. It became stressful for me because I wanted to post, you know, not for anyone else's sake, but just for me. Like, it was a pressure I put on myself to post what we were doing and all this, and I just couldn't keep up with it. It was stressful, and you know, I found myself wanting to just go and do things without having to document them for the blog. And of course I could have done that, you know, I could have just not documented it, but I didn't want there to be gaps in what I was documenting. So it just was becoming stressful, and I stepped away for that reason, and just some other reasons too, where I just didn't feel like it was a safe culture anymore. Me coming back to YouTube is kind of a way of me kind of re-entering and sharing again creatively, but just in a different way, and I want there to be less pressure, and that's why I'm not going to be vlogging or doing anything like that regularly. I may vlog, you know, a trip here and there, or, you know, something, if we do something like real fun with the kids, but it's just a protective measure, both for me and just literally just to protect the privacy of my family. So I loved it when I did it, but I don't see myself blogging again. Do you have a set amount of childcare per week for date nights, etc.? No, we don't. I wish we did. But I do have a babysitter that comes twice a week for a few hours, and that helps me get some things done, run some errands. Since Luke was born, it's just been hard for us to get out and do anything really. So no, we don't have a regular scheduled night. I wish we did, but my parents will usually watch them, you know, if we want to go out to dinner every so often. My parents live here in town, and they love taking care of them, so they'll do that like in the evenings because it goes easier for bedtime and stuff. But no, but we should. On average, what does it cost for a family of 5 to go on a Disney vacation, including food, tickets, and hotel resort? I wish I could answer this, but there really is no way that I can answer that. There are so many variables: what time of year you go, where you stay, how you fly, what kind of tickets do you need. There's just too many variables. And so what I would do is I would talk to a Disney vacation planner, travel agent. They are free to use. their services, and they can help you with all of that. Price it out. They can give you quotes. They can help you compare prices for different times of year, different hotels. But at a very baseline level, you can just go to the website and plug in some dates and see what pops up. And you can include the dining plan or not include the dining plan in that. Like I said, there's times when they do free dining, which would be awesome. But I cannot answer that because there's so many variables. What books do you love, fiction and books that have impacted your spiritual walk? I'm gonna do a video on this by itself because there's too much to talk about, and I really do want to do justice to talking about the books that have impacted me. Yeah, so I'm gonna do my own video, a separate video on that. I feel like that's a cop-out, sorry, but it really is because I want to expand on it so much more. So be watching for a video on that.